Hear ye, my name is King J-Mass, and I've been crowned the ruler of Gibbet Hill. And the town of Groton, Massachusetts has awarded me with full ownership of Bancroft's castle in recognition of my rule.
Wait, I know you.
No, you're mistaken.
There is no mistake. You're the guy 2 years ago in your videos that mispronounced Gibbet Hill.
Gibbet Hill, Gibbet Hill, or Gibbet Hill, Gibbet Hill, Gibbet Hill, Gibbet Hill, Gibbet Hill. Nuh-uh. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's J-Mass, and I'm back again with another dope Massachusetts adventure. And in the very first episode of my new Massachusetts Town Review series, we will be covering the town of Groton, Massachusetts. Now, Groton is an affluent suburban town located in northwestern Middlesex County, and it has a population of 11,315 people as of the 2020 U.S. Census. Now, this is a town I'm personally quite familiar with, as I grew up in the area and I've been here a multitude of times. But I want to start by delving into the history of this town and understand what makes Groton a historically significant New England settlement. Prior to European settlement, Groton was inhabited by indigenous Algonquin tribes, most notably the Nipmuc and Nashua. In fact, this area was known as Petapawag by the Nashua, translating to swampy land. However, the town's placement along the navigable Nashua River made it an excellent location for trade between Europeans and the indigenous communities, and English entrepreneur John Tinker established a trading post here to do just that. This, of course, brought forth more English settlement, and by 1655, the town of Groton was officially incorporated, then known as the Plantation of Groton. It's important to note that, at this time, Groton's boundaries looked completely different. The Plantation of Groton was comprised of the modern-day towns of Ayr, Pepperell, Shirley, and some of Dunstable and Littleton, with territory even including some portions of modern-day New Hampshire. The town's name of Groton came from the village of Groton in Suffolk, England, which was the hometown of John Winthrop, former governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. During the remainder of the 17th century, Groton largely functioned as an agricultural town, with farming being its primary industry. However, the town was soon swept away by the tides of war. For the following decades, Groton found itself consistently immersed in the warfare of the time, through raids and battles alike. The King Philip's War was perhaps colonial America's most devastating conflict, which saw New England colonists fighting against a plethora of indigenous tribes. This resulted in unprecedented bloodshed and destruction, some of which carried over to the town of Groton itself. On March 13, 1676, Groton was attacked by an indigenous raid, resulting in significant destruction and damage. In fact, it took a whole 2 years for residents to return to the town, having previously fled to nearby Concord for safety. Later on, the King William's War would commence, which was functionally the North American theater of the much larger 9 Years' War. This conflict saw the French and English pit their colonies against each other, as well as their indigenous allies. The raid on Groton, which occurred on July 27, 1694, was perhaps the most deadly attack on the town thus far. On this day, 40 Abenaki warriors who were allied with the French descended upon the English town, killing 20 people and capturing 13 others. Most famously, this included members of the Longley family, who were notable Groton settlers. 7 Longleys were killed, while 3 Longleys were captured. Here you can see a historical marker referencing the event on a boulder, today located in a field right off the side of Longley Road. This marker memorializes the tragedy of the Longley family during the raid of Groton in 1694. It reads, "Near this spot dwelt William and Deliverance Longley with their 8 children. On the 27th of July, 1694, the Indians killed the father and mother and 5 of the children and carried into captivity the other 3. Interestingly, Lydia Longley, who is today known as the first American nun due to her work in the Catholic Church, was one of those captured by the Abenaki. She was later purchased by the Pennacook, who took her up to modern-day Montreal and Quebec, Canada. Yet another war would ravage the colonies, this time the Queen Anne's War, which was once again fought between the French and the English, pitting their colonies and indigenous allies against each other. The Abenaki would raid Groton in both 1704 and 1707, both times capturing residents and bringing them to Montreal. During the 1707 raid, 3 Tarbell children were captured who were cousins of the Longleys. Of course, the most important war, the Revolutionary War, was ignited in nearby Lexington and Concord in 1775. The residents of Groton soon found themselves embroiled in this conflict, an overwhelming majority of whom supported the Patriot cause. In fact, it was at this very church, the first Parish Church, where local Minutemen would arrive in preparation for fighting at both Lexington and Concord. Later on, Groton would also send men to the Battle of Bunker Hill, including Groton-born Colonel William Prescott. Following the end of the Revolutionary War, Groton would once again find itself delved into conflict, this time during Shays' Rebellion. Most Groton residents sided with the rebellion, which opposed strict post-war taxation and economic policies within Massachusetts. Job Shattuck, then Groton's largest landowner, led a revolt in 1786 during the height of Shays' Rebellion that forced a shutdown of the Middlesex County courthouse. Ironically, he would end up being captured by anti-rebellion Grotonians and tried for his actions. Throughout the late 17th century through the remainder of the 18th century, Groton would transform from a growing town with a strong population and economy to one riddled with economic decline and population loss. Several new economic opportunities had opened up for the town of Groton by the early 1800s, including a paper mill in West Groton and a soapstone quarry, which was the largest in the country upon its discovery in 1828. However, by the mid to late 1800s, the town began to suffer. Ayr broke away from Groton in 1871, becoming an incorporated town and taking with it half of Groton's population. Industry also began to decline, with the aforementioned soapstone quarry having permanently closed in 1868. It is important to note that, beginning in the 1840s, a multitude of Catholic immigrants began moving into the town. There also existed a small minority of black Grotonians, many of whom had lived there since the 1700s. However, during the 1920s, the white supremacist hate group, the Ku Klux Klan, found its footing in the town, spewing its anti-Catholic and racial segregationist rhetoric. Despite the KKK's revival during this time, they were not entirely welcomed by Groton. In October 1926, a conflict emerged between the KKK and locally opposed residents when 100 armed Grotonians opened fire on a crowd of 400 Klansmen. Thankfully, by the end of the 1920s, the KKK was largely wiped out of life in Groton, and to this day, the town's motto is "All are welcome," having reckoned with its past by publicly denouncing hate and discrimination. Today, Groton is a largely suburban commuter town, with most residents finding work in the nearby Boston metro area. Groton is also quite affluent. In fact, it is the 35th wealthiest town per capita out of Massachusetts' 351 towns and cities. But as you heard throughout my retelling of the town's storied history, it was a long journey for the town to get to this point, marred by constant warfare, economic turmoil, and social unrest. It was really by the start of the 1950s, during America's post-war period, when Groton began to thrive economically. So what exactly is there to do here in the town of Groton? Well, there's quite a bit of outdoor activities that I absolutely love in this town, and one of my favorite is Bancroft's Castle. Now, these are ruins of a castle that were built all the way back in 1906. Unfortunately, there was a devastating fire that destroyed it in 1932. But today, all that's left behind are the ruins of the castle itself. They're completely open to the public. Anyone can come here. It's an absolutely beautiful, gorgeous place. If you love checking out historic ruins and abandoned sites, Bancroft's Castle is the place for you. Now, I actually made a full video here all the way back in 2022. So if you're interested in seeing a lot more, details and specific analysis of Bancroft's Castle, definitely check out my video that I posted 2 years ago. It's not very good, but it does show you more in depth about Bancroft's Castle. But this is one of my favorite ruins in Massachusetts. It's a really cool site, and it provides you a look into Massachusetts' early 20th century history. Sitting atop Gibbet Hill, Bancroft's Castle was constructed in 1906 by General William Bancroft, a soldier, businessman, and politician who served in the Massachusetts House of Representatives and as mayor of Cambridge. In 1918, Bancroft would sell the property to Harold Ayres, a physician who turned it into a sanatorium, treating patients with tuberculosis and other ailments. The castle would once again change hands by the 1930s, then belonging to the Groton Hunt Club, who used it for social events. Sadly, the castle was destroyed in a freak accident during a fireworks celebration on the 4th of July, bringing down the entire structure and leaving behind only the cobblestone walls. There are also rumors that this place may be haunted, although I personally have my doubts. So aside from Bancroft's castle, Gibbet Hill is also best well known for its stunning sweeping vistas and its beautiful sunset views. Are you looking for a romantic date idea with your girlfriend or boyfriend this evening? Well, Gibbet Hill's got you covered. You can get beautiful views of the sun setting over the rolling countryside hills. And even if you're not able to get here for the evening, just the afternoon, still look at that. You get beautiful vistas of the countryside. I personally love coming to Gibbet Hill, not just for Bancroft's castle, but also to get beautiful sweeping vistas. You can see Groton Center, you can see the farmland, you can even see Mount Wachusett in the distance. So definitely come to Gibbet Hill, if not just for Bancroft's castle, then the beautiful views, and especially seeing the sunset. Another noteworthy historical site in Groton is Williams Barn, a historic barn constructed in 1840. However, the property has a much older history. In 1670, Thomas and Mary Williams began a farm on the site, pursuing a lifestyle in agriculture. The property has since endured several generations of the Williams family, who continuously owned and operated the barn and surrounding farmland. Sadly, I was unable to venture inside during my visit here, but the Williams Barn is occasionally open to visitors, and there appears to be historical exhibitions inside detailing the farm's extensive past. Williams Barn is also home to the Groton Farmers Market, which is typically open on Fridays between July and October. Williams Barn is a great example of the town's agricultural history, an industry which defined Groton for generations. If old historic New England cemeteries are your forte, then I would highly recommend checking out Groton Cemetery. It's a beautiful and serene old cemetery with a number of notable historic locals. For example, this is the gravestone of Dr. Samuel Abbott Green, a former mayor of Boston and a local Groton historian. This is the burial site of Samuel and Luther Lawrence. Samuel Lawrence was a Revolutionary War veteran and a founder of Lawrence Academy, and his son Luther was actually the mayor of Lowell, Massachusetts. And this right here is the gravestone of George Sewell Beltwell. He was the governor of Massachusetts, representative and senator of the United States, and the Secretary of the Treasury. Pretty illustrious career. I'm sure there's probably so many other graves of notable locals that I'm forgetting, but anyways, if you find yourself in the town of Groton, Massachusetts, Groton Cemetery is a local gem with quite a lot of history. Definitely one of my favorite old historic New England cemeteries, and I would highly recommend it to any cemetery lover. So you're in the town of Groton and you're hungry. What is there to eat? Well, by far my favorite restaurant in Groton is Gibbet Hill Grill, a delicious farm-to-table restaurant that specializes in steak and beef. All of their food is organic, natural, and freshly made, since most of the ingredients come from their very own farm right outside. I went here with my friend Jesse one night, and we started off with some appetizers. First, they brought out fresh bread with spreadable butter. Then we got some mini grilled cheeses, which actually came with tomato soup to dip them in. For dinner, Jesse got a cheeseburger with fries and a salad, while I opted for a filet mignon topped with mushrooms, as well as breaded macaroni and cheese and a bowl of mixed mushrooms. As you can tell, I love mushrooms. I would advise that you reserve a table beforehand if possible. It gets wicked busy here. Since I had returned to Groton again to film this video, I wanted to try a new place that I'd never been to before. I checked out Bruno's Pizza in Groton Center, a rustic pizza joint with a variety of lunch options, ranging from pizza, subs, wraps, salads, and more. Keeping up with the theme of my mushroom obsession, I ordered a medium mushroom pizza, and it was pretty solid. The cheese was gooey and moist, and the mushrooms were very fresh. They only have two pizza sizes, medium and large, but the medium was not a bad size for one person to have, with leftovers after. This is definitely a place I'd return to again, as they have quite an extensive menu. If you like biking or just going on long walks, I would also recommend checking out the Nashua River Rail Trail. It's a nice paved rail trail that goes right through the town of Groton, as well as a couple other towns. I come here pretty frequently. It's a really nice place to go for walks and just get some really beautiful scenery. In fact, Groton has a wide variety of public trails and hiking opportunities scattered throughout the town. According to the Groton Trails Network, Groton has over 10 square miles of conservation land with roughly 130 miles of maintained trails. Some of my favorite outdoor spaces in the town are the J. Harry Rich State Forest, Groton Town Forest, General Field Conservation Area, Williams Conservation Land, Blackman Conservation Land, Rocky Hill Wildlife Sanctuary, Squannacook River Wildlife Management Area, and probably countless other places I'm forgetting. Groton really is on top of its game when it comes to preserving and conserving outdoor spaces for public recreational use. You know, one thing I love about Massachusetts is that there is history literally everywhere. You could be in a completely random ass part of the state and still find a historically significant monument, memorial, or plaque, even if it's hidden by brush. I mean, check this out. So I'm in a random part of the town of Groton right now, completely empty road, nothing going on here. It's empty, I'm all by myself. And there's a random historical plaque nestled in the middle of the brush right here. So it's pretty cool. I've actually never been here before. Kind of tough to read, but basically this says, "Here dwelt John Davis, killed in his own dooryard by the Indians, October 25th, 1704. So you might remember earlier when we discussed the history, the town of Groton was raided by Abenaki warriors several times, and it looks like John Davis was one of the casualties of the Abenaki raids on Groton. But pretty cool to see a memorial plaque like this completely hidden on a random back road here in Groton. Interestingly, there are actually two private boarding schools in the town of Groton. The first one is Lawrence Academy, which was chartered in 1793, and you can actually see the campus right behind me. Very nice place. A lot of notable alumni have actually gone to school here. And the other one was the Groton School, founded in 1884. Fun fact, by the way, President Franklin D. Roosevelt was actually an alumni here. And the primary public high school in the town is Groton-Dunstable Regional High School, shared between the towns of Groton and Dunstable. You can actually see it directly behind me. Pretty nice school. Fun JMass lore, by the way. I actually didn't go to my school's prom in high school. I went to Chelmsford High School nearby, but my girlfriend went to Groton-Dunstable, so I actually went to her prom, and Groton kids are just significantly wealthier than Chelmsford kids, so everyone there had like a crazy limo and party bus. The after party was at a fucking mansion. It was crazy stuff. One of Groton's more unique recent sites is New England's Shirdi Sai Parivaar, the largest Shirdi Sai Baba temple in the United States at over 40,000 square feet, which was completed in 2017. The temple is dedicated to the worship of Shirdi Sai Baba, an Indian spiritualist and saint who is revered by both Hindu and Muslim followers. According to the New England Shirdi Sai Parivaar, their mission is to promote the philosophy of Sri Shirdi Sai Baba and to accordingly support religious, spiritual, cultural, and charitable activities. Hey, thank you guys for joining me. I've been Jay Mass as always, and this has been another dope Massachusetts adventure. And in the very first episode of my new Massachusetts Town Review series, we explored the town of Groton, Massachusetts, a scenic suburban town in the northwestern Middlesex County, Massachusetts. Now, as I stated earlier in the video, I grew up in the area, and I'm quite familiar with Groton, having come to this town countless times, and I'm thrilled that I got to share with you guys. We explored the many sites it has to offer, learned about the history, tried the food, and saw the beautiful, vast outdoor spaces. I think Groton is a very underrated town in Massachusetts. I love it, and I'm glad I got to share it with you guys on this very first episode of Massachusetts Town Reviews. Now, you guys might be wondering, what rating would I give the town of Groton, Massachusetts? I'll give it a 4 out of 5 castles. As always, guys, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, or you can follow me on Instagram at JMassOfficial. That's at JMassOfficial. But I've been JMass, Massachusetts Town Reviews, Groton, Massachusetts, 4 out of 5 castles. Pretty strong rating for the very first entry. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.